Hey y'all, so this is part 2. If you haven't watched the first part yet, go back and watch the first part to kind of get caught up about my dad's passing. And I left off from there with Mom making her very first trip to Arizona, her first ever airplane flight. She was so scared, but she did excellent. She got to watch my son propose to his now wife, and that is a special memory that I am so thankful for. Part of me, though, feels such an immense amount of guilt because, unbeknownst to me, when she went on that trip, she missed some chemotherapy appointments. I didn't know that at the time, and I feel so guilty about that now, but my heart is also so happy that she was able to go and experience those things. A huge part of me thinks that she knew that her time was coming near, and her heart needed that. She needed to meet Jacqueline, who is my daughter-in-law. She needed to see where my son was living. She needed that peace in her heart. And so I think that after she had done those things, she just wanted so badly to be with my dad. So the last 3 months of her life, she was in the hospital. Many times the doctors told us there wasn't anything else that they could do. They wanted to stop her care, and I told them no. And in fact, I got very angry with one of the doctors and just walked away. I had to let my husband talk to him because, some people just are so heartless, I think. But anyway, she did live for 3 more months, and that's 3 more months of I love yous, 3 more months of hugs, 3 more months of phone calls and FaceTimes that if I had listened to the doctors, I would not have gotten. So I don't regret that. Now, that brings us up to October the 29th of 2023. She had steadily been declining, but she had developed a fungal infection in her lungs. And as if things weren't bad enough, the chemotherapy that she had been taking, they gave her something called Red Devil. And she was so scared about it because the doctor told her, this is very powerful medication, and it's either going to save you or it will kill you. And she was so scared. And I said, don't worry, Mom, I'm coming from Georgia. I'm going to stay there with you. The entire time you're getting this Red Devil chemotherapy, I'll be there. So that made her feel a little better. I came from Georgia. I stayed the whole week with her there in the hospital. I never left the hospital grounds. Not once. And she did phenomenal. Like, blew me away. She wasn't sick. She wasn't anything that the doctors had prepared us for. I mean, she did fantastic. We laughed and we talked and we watched TV and we ate, and I'm so thankful for that week. Even though it was ironically a time when she was getting something called Red Devil, it was a blessing. So the leukemia was actually responding to the medication. She was doing better. And then this fungal infection started in her lungs. And it just went downhill from there. I have so many videos of her talking and her singing, and right up until the end. On October the 29th, they told us that we had to make a decision, and we had to they told us that there was no hope. And unlike the other times when I had been told that, this time I knew that they were right. Every other time that I had been told that, I fought against it. But this time I knew it was true. So we had to take her off life support. The second person that I've had to take off life support, the two most important people in my life in 6 months. And I told the doctors, now she's stubborn. She could just wake up and come right off this bed. She's not going to go easy. And she didn't. With Dad, it went fast, minutes. And he went on. But with Mom, 5.5 hours. For 5.5 hours, I stood beside of her bed. I laid my head on her chest. I rubbed her hair. I held her hand. I sang to her. I talked to her. Finally, at about 5 hours or so, I told my brothers, my back is killing me from standing here so long. I've got to go downstairs. If anything changes, call me immediately. And I no sooner had gotten to my car and my brother called and he said, come back now. So I did. And she passed on. And I was holding her hand. And I just felt so broken. I was 44 at the time, and I truly felt like a 44-year-old orphan. My mom and my dad were gone. And you never realize how scary the world can be until both of your parents are gone. It is very scary. So, that is how my mom passed. And I'm running out of time. I have to get back to work. But I'll come back with a third part and I'll let you guys know how their deaths ultimately led to me coming back to Kentucky for good. And we'll go from there.